Too many times.
You love working with Ron?
I do. As we can all attest, he is a horrible taskmaster. We have to please this guy. Sometimes, I'm told what to do, and I do what I'm told.
For decades, Tom Hanks and Ron Howard have shared a unique bond, one forged in the heat of Hollywood's most iconic moments. From the heartwarming success of Apollo 13 to the quiet camaraderie behind the scenes, these two legends shaped the film industry in ways many can only imagine. But what has Hanks kept hidden for all these years? The untold truth about his friendship with Ron Howard is about to be revealed. Get ready to uncover secrets, surprising revelations, and what really happened behind closed doors. Tom Hanks reveals the untold truth about Ron Howard. Tom Hanks and Ron Howard's friendship could have ended before it even began, all because of ego. Their working relationship started in the early 1980s when Howard cast Hanks in Splash in 1984, a film that would launch Hanks into Hollywood stardom. At first, it was just another ambitious project, but as filming progressed, the dynamic between them became more complicated. Howard had been transitioning from actor to director, and Splash was his first major success behind the camera. While he was deeply invested in proving himself as a filmmaker, Hanks's natural comedic charm started stealing the spotlight. The studio and the media quickly latched onto Hanks as the next big thing, and suddenly, all attention was on him. Some executives even suggested reshaping the film's marketing to center more around Hanks, rather than keeping it balanced between the ensemble. Howard later admitted that during this time he felt somewhat overlooked. He had poured his heart into directing, yet all anyone wanted to talk about was Hanks's breakout performance. It was a tough pill to swallow. He was trying to establish himself as a serious filmmaker, but instead of being recognized for his directorial efforts, he was often reduced to the former Happy Days star who got lucky. The success of Splash was exciting, but it was also frustrating. Hanks, on the other hand, was completely unaware of this tension. He was just thrilled to be getting his big break, not realizing how the shifting spotlight might have made Howard feel sidelined. As the film gained momentum and Hanks's career skyrocketed, there was an unspoken shift in their dynamic. Howard knew he had to check his ego. If he let resentment take over, he risked ruining a friendship before it had a chance to grow. Despite these early challenges, Howard and Hanks reunited for Apollo 13 in 1995, but this time the situation was different. By then, Hanks was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, and Howard had solidified his reputation as a top-tier director. Their collaboration now required complete trust. The film was a high-stakes project, based on a real-life event, and there was no room for personal tensions to interfere. Howard had to command a complex production, managing technical accuracy while delivering a gripping emotional story. Meanwhile, Hanks had to embody astronaut Jim Lovell with absolute authenticity. It wasn't just about delivering a great performance, he had to do justice to a real person's legacy. Unlike their first collaboration, where silent frustrations had lingered in the background, Apollo 13 demanded mutual respect and a shared vision.
We are, oh boy, what's going on here? Flight, let me get back to you. Flight GNC? Flight, they're all over the place. They keep yawing close to gimbal lock.
I keep losing radio signal. Flight, their antenna must be flipped.
22, they're gonna have to do it manually if they do.
One at a time, people. One at a time. One at a time.
But what happened next changed everything. Stay tuned. Tom Hanks's untold truth about Ron Howard. For years, Tom Hanks and Ron Howard have been one of Hollywood's most successful duos, creating some of the most unforgettable films of our time. But recently, at a private family gathering, Hanks had dropped a revelation that left Howard speechless, something that had been unspoken for nearly 40 years. What was it that Hanks had kept to himself for so long? And why did Howard only hear about it now? Their story began in the early 1980s when Howard, a young director eager to prove himself, took a chance on an up-and-coming actor named Tom Hanks. The film was Splash, a light-hearted romantic comedy about a man falling in love with a mermaid. It was a make-or-break moment for both men. Howard, fresh off his acting days, needed to establish himself as a serious filmmaker, while Hanks, still searching for his breakthrough, was desperate to prove he had the charisma to lead a movie. From the outside, filming Splash seemed like a dream job. But was it really? Some have speculated that behind the scenes, Hanks wasn't as confident as he appeared on screen. Though there's no confirmed evidence that Hanks has dyslexia, he has openly spoken about struggling in school, admitting that he was never the best student. Could it be that those same struggles followed him onto the set? One rumor that has circulated for years is that Hanks had trouble memorizing lines during Splash, leading to moments of frustration. Whether it was just first-time nerves or something deeper, Hanks allegedly found himself flubbing more often than he'd like. And that's when Howard, despite the stress of directing his first major film, stepped in, not as a strict filmmaker, but as a friend. According to those close to the production, Howard had a unique way of working with actors, always patient and always calm. If Hanks was struggling, Howard made sure he never felt pressured or embarrassed. Instead of letting frustration get the best of him, he encouraged Hanks to trust his instincts. Could this have been the moment that cemented their legendary partnership? Fast forward to Apollo 13 in 1995, and the dynamic between them had changed. Hanks was now a Hollywood A-lister, while Howard had established himself as one of the industry's most respected directors. But even with all their success, the pressure was higher than ever. Apollo 13 was an ambitious film, recreating a real-life space mission that had captivated the world. Every scene needed to be perfect, and the weight of the project was on both their shoulders. This time, it was Howard who faced moments of doubt. Directing a film of this scale was a massive challenge, and sources say there were times when the pressure felt overwhelming. But just as Howard had once reassured Hanks on Splash, Hanks was now the one offering words of encouragement. And here's where things take a surprising turn. During a recent dinner, decades after they had first worked together, Hanks finally admitted just how much Howard's support had meant to him back in the Splash days. According to insiders, Howard was stunned. He had never realized the full impact of his guidance all those years ago. But why did Hanks wait nearly 40 years to say it? Had he kept it to himself out of pride? Or did he only now realize just how much it had shaped his career? Whatever the reason, one thing is certain. This friendship goes beyond a Hollywood partnership. It's built on mutual respect, encouragement, and unwavering support at just the right moments. And if it took 4 decades for this truth to emerge, what other untold stories might still be waiting to be discovered? Let's find out. Ron Howard and Tom Hanks' shared journey. Ron Howard's journey from child star to one of Hollywood's most respected directors is filled with unexpected twists, legendary collaborations, and an uncanny ability to shape narratives that captivate audiences worldwide. But after working together for over 40 years, Tom Hanks has hinted at something deeper, an untold truth about Howard that has fans buzzing. Could there be more to his career than we ever realized? Howard first gained recognition as a director with Splash in 1984, a fantasy romantic comedy that introduced audiences to a then-rising Tom Hanks. The film, about a man who falls in love with a mermaid, might have seemed like a light-hearted project, but it was a pivotal moment for Howard. Coming from a television background, he needed to prove himself as a filmmaker. And he did. Splash was a massive success, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay. But Splash was just the beginning. Howard's reputation as a director grew, leading to his first major collaboration with Hanks on Apollo 13. The space drama, based on the real-life near-disaster of NASA's 1970 mission, was so detailed and immersive that it felt like a documentary. Howard famously used NASA's zero-gravity aircraft to film weightless scenes, making the experience as authentic as possible. Hanks, who played astronaut Jim Lovell, has since hinted that Howard's dedication to realism went beyond just making a great movie. Some fans speculate that Apollo 13 contained subtle references to classified space missions, with Howard using his platform to hint at hidden truths. Was it just a thrilling film, or was Howard using cinema to reveal something more?
Fit into the hole for this, using nothing but that. Let's get it organized.
Okay, let's build a filter.
Better get some coffee going too, someone.
The way the film depicted NASA's inner workings, including real technical jargon and mission procedures, made some question just how much insider knowledge Howard had. This wasn't the last time Howard's films would spark controversy. In 2006, he directed The Da Vinci Code, a film that shook the world with its daring take on religious history and secret societies. The movie, based on Dan Brown's novel, followed Hank's character, Robert Langdon, as he unraveled ancient mysteries tied to the Catholic Church. The Vatican condemned the film, religious groups called for boycotts, and debates erupted over whether Howard was merely adapting a novel, or if he was deliberately bringing certain theories into mainstream conversation. Despite the backlash, the Da Vinci Code became a global phenomenon, grossing over $760 million worldwide, from a budget of $125 million. Howard didn't stop there. He continued the Langdon saga with Angels and Demons in 2009, diving deeper into secret societies, scientific conspiracies, and power struggles within the Catholic Church. The film depicted the Illuminati as a real, functioning force, adding fuel to long-standing theories about their influence on world events. Then came Inferno in 2016, the third film in the series, and perhaps the most chilling of them all.
This is the kind of movie when you get to go to places like this and go on location, they pull everybody together. You know, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months, you tend to go out to dinner, you tend to go see the places.
What a bunch of malarkey.
This time, the story centered around a deadly virus designed to control overpopulation, an idea that, at the time, seemed purely fictional. Yet just a few years later, a global pandemic would change the world, making many question if Inferno had been warning audiences about something real all along. Fans began to speculate. Was Howard ahead of his time, or was he tapping into real-world concerns long before they became global issues? His ability to weave complex theories, real historical events, and high-stakes drama into gripping films made audiences wonder whether there was a deeper reason behind his choices. Did Howard simply have a knack for choosing the right stories? Or was he subtly bringing hidden truths to the surface through his work? Beyond thrillers, Howard has continuously demonstrated his versatility as a director. He's tackled everything from fantasy, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, to high-speed drama, Rush, and even ventured into the Star Wars universe with Solo, A Star Wars Story. Yet, no matter the genre, his films have an undeniable quality, one that makes audiences question what's real and what's simply cinematic brilliance. His collaborations with Tom Hanks have been particularly noteworthy, spanning decades and multiple genres. Hanks, who has worked with Howard more than any other director, has subtly suggested that Howard's passion for storytelling runs deeper than people realize. He has spoken about the director's meticulous research, his relentless pursuit of authenticity, and the way he brings historical narratives to life in ways that feel almost too real. Could it be that Howard has spent his career embedding hidden messages into his films? Or is it simply his unmatched ability to make stories feel more real than they should? One of Howard's strengths is his ability to take complex, intricate stories and make them accessible to mainstream audiences. Whether it's explaining the challenges of a failed space mission in Apollo 13 or how unraveling centuries-old conspiracies in the Da Vinci Code, he has a way of making audiences feel like they're uncovering something alongside the characters. This immersive storytelling has led to speculation that some of his films are more than just entertainment. They're glimpses into real-world mysteries. Even outside of fiction, Howard has a deep appreciation for real-life narratives. His documentaries, such as The Beatles' 8 Days a Week and Pavarotti, showcase his dedication to telling authentic, meaningful stories. This further raises the question, why does he choose certain topics? What draws him to stories that deal with hidden histories, global mysteries, and powerful institutions? Howard himself has never confirmed or denied any theories about deeper meanings in his films, but that hasn't stopped fans from speculating. Whether it's the unsettling accuracy of Inferno, the controversial themes of the Da Vinci Code, or the ultra-realism of Apollo 13, his films continue to spark conversations long after the credits roll. One thing is clear. Ron Howard isn't just making movies. He's crafting stories that linger, that make people think, and that sometimes, just sometimes, feel like they're revealing something the world isn't supposed to see. How Ron Howard and Tom Hanks brought Apollo 13 to life. When Ron Howard set out to bring Apollo 13 to the big screen, he wasn't just making another space movie. He was crafting an intense, deeply human survival story. The 1995 film, starring Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton, took audiences inside one of NASA's most harrowing missions, where an oxygen tank explosion turned what should have been a historic moon, landing into a desperate fight to return home. The real Apollo 13 mission had enough drama to rival any Hollywood script. In April 1970, astronauts Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert launched toward the moon. But just days into their journey, an explosion crippled their spacecraft. Suddenly, their mission wasn't about exploration, it was about survival. With dwindling oxygen, failing power, and the terrifying possibility of being stranded in space, the astronauts depended on NASA's mission control to guide them back to Earth. Howard knew that authenticity was key to telling this story. He and his team worked closely with NASA to recreate every detail, from the spacecraft's interiors to the weightlessness of space. The production even filmed inside NASA's KC-135 aircraft, known as the Vomit Comet, to capture real zero-gravity effects. Hanks, Bacon, and Paxton endured grueling training sessions, learning how to move like astronauts and operate equipment with precision. For Hanks, the role of Jim Lovell was more than just another character. It was an opportunity to honor real-life heroes. Lovell, a veteran astronaut, was known for his calm demeanor even in life-threatening situations. Hanks worked closely with Lovell to understand his mindset during those critical moments in space. The actor later admitted that meeting Lovell in person made him feel the weight of the role in a way he hadn't expected. Howard's commitment to realism extended beyond Apollo 13. His ability to blend history with gripping storytelling became a defining trait in films like The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno, where he adapted Dan Brown's best-selling novels into fast-paced thrillers. Working with Hanks once again, Howard turned Robert Langdon's intellectual puzzles into cinematic spectacles, filled with ancient mysteries, high-stakes chases, and stunning historical locations. Before those intense thrillers, Howard and Hanks first teamed up in the 1984 romantic comedy Splash. The film, which told the story of a man falling in love with a mermaid, was a departure from the serious roles Hanks would later become known for. But it was also an early glimpse of Howard's ability to create films that connected with audiences on an emotional level, even when the premise was fantastical. While Splash showcased Howard's knack for heartfelt storytelling, Apollo 13 cemented his reputation as a director who could take real-life events and make them feel as thrilling as any fictional blockbuster. The film's iconic line, "Houston, we have a problem," became ingrained in pop culture, a testament to how deeply the story resonated with audiences. Even decades later, Howard and Hanks continue to reflect on their work together, recognizing how these films shaped both their careers and their deep respect for true stories. From the depths of space in Apollo 13 to the cryptic clues of The Da Vinci Code, their collaborations have repeatedly captured the imagination of audiences worldwide. With decades of unforgettable films behind them, it's clear that the partnership between Howard and Hanks is more than just director and actor. It's a shared passion for storytelling, a drive to bring history and fiction to life in ways that feel deeply personal. And as long as there are stories worth telling, it's a partnership that will continue to captivate audiences. Whether guiding actors through zero gravity or unraveling historical conspiracies, Howard approaches each film with the same goal: to immerse the audience completely. But what about Howard's directing style keeps actors like Hanks coming back? And what makes him stand out? Is it his ability to build trust, his attention to detail, or his belief that the best stories feel real? Stay tuned to uncover the secret. Ron Howard's Path to Success: The Untold Truth from Tom Hanks. Ron Howard's journey from a beloved child actor to one of Hollywood's most respected directors was anything but easy. While many recognize him for his early acting roles, including his time on Happy Days, his transition to directing defined his career and legacy. And no one knows this better than Tom Hanks, who has worked closely with Howard for decades. From Splash to Apollo 13 and beyond, their collaborations shaped modern cinema. But behind the scenes, Howard's relentless drive and focus on his craft played a crucial role in his success. After Happy Days ended, Ron Howard faced a pivotal decision. Unlike some of his co-stars who remained tied to their television personas, Howard had his sights set on something bigger: directing. Hollywood, however, wasn't quick to accept the idea of a sitcom star becoming a serious filmmaker. He had to fight to prove himself, starting with small projects before getting his first big break with Night Shift in 1982. But it was Splash in 1984 that truly launched his directing career, a film that also marked the beginning of his long-standing creative partnership with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, then an up-and-coming actor, found himself drawn to Howard's storytelling style. Howard had a way of balancing humor, heart, and spectacle, and Hanks thrived under his direction. Their success with Splash set the stage for future collaborations, but it wasn't until Apollo 13 that their partnership reached new heights. By the time Apollo 13 went into production, Ron Howard had already made a name for himself as a director. But he wanted this film to be more than just another space drama. He was determined to capture the raw intensity of the real-life events surrounding NASA's infamous lunar mission. Howard's obsession with authenticity led to a grueling filming process, where he insisted on using NASA's zero-gravity training aircraft, the KC-135 Vomit Comet, to recreate the weightless environment of space. This commitment to realism pushed the cast, including Hanks, to their limits. Hanks later reflected on the experience, calling it one of the most challenging yet rewarding projects of his career. He admired Howard's meticulous attention to detail, saying that the director's determination to get every shot right, even if it meant endless takes, was what made the film so powerful. Howard's ability to inspire his actors and crew with his vision turned Apollo 13 into an unforgettable cinematic experience. But Howard's success wasn't just about talent, it was about resilience. Hollywood can be unforgiving, and even after major hits like Apollo 13, he faced pressure to outdo himself. Unlike many directors who chase trends, Howard remained focused on telling meaningful stories. His Oscar-winning A Beautiful Mind proved he could handle deeply emotional and complex narratives, while The Da Vinci Code and Inferno showcased his ability to adapt best-selling novels into thrilling cinematic experiences. And then there's Rush, the gripping Formula One drama that had nothing to do with Hanks, but everything to do with Howard's storytelling brilliance. The film, starring Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl, captured the intense rivalry between legendary drivers James Hunt and Niki Lauda, proving that Howard could take on any genre and make it compelling. He did the same with Cinderella Man, a boxing drama starring Russell Crowe, and Frost/Nixon, a film that turned a political interview into a nail-biting showdown. Tom Hanks often speaks about Howard's ability to adapt and evolve without losing his artistic integrity. It's why their collaborations never feel repetitive. Each project brings something fresh, whether it's the suspense of the Da Vinci Code or the raw emotion of Cast Away, which, while not directed by Howard, was another example of Hanks's ability to thrive in ambitious projects. For Ron Howard, success never came from chasing fame. Unlike other directors who sought the spotlight, he let his work speak for itself. His dedication to his craft and refusal to take shortcuts cemented his reputation in Hollywood. Looking back, it's clear that Howard's transition from actor to director wasn't just a career move, it was his destiny. What do you think has sustained the successful collaboration between Howard and Hanks? Share your thoughts in the comments.